I am 54 years old and I do not avoid people. What I do have are rules and limits with people, also known as boundaries, right? So, yeah, I do not avoid people. I'm 54 in my 50s. A lot of these videos of people, I'm 50 something and I avoid people, maybe a bit older than that, right? So, the truth is, this is a subject that it's kind of it cycles itself around. You hear videos or contents about people talk about, to an extent, being a loner, the pros and cons, what it actually implies or means for someone who is a loner or just avoiding people, right? There's been some different videos made by different individuals. One got about 1 million views. And then there's some other ones. And the one person who his video did real good of some views on this topic did another video about how he felt people were copying his videos, which, to be fair, yeah, people might get an idea and say, "Hey, a Me Too video, and make a topic, same subject." That happens, but to be fair, this is a topic. This idea of being avoiding people, it's not necessarily anything new. You've seen this cycled in and out of content over the years, and also this idea of being a loner. A lot of ways, a lot of angles on how to discuss this and talk about it. So yeah, there's a lot of videos about this. There's no monopoly, by the way, on how many people being able to talk about various subjects. So my thoughts on this in this video, I want to share some different things because, it depends on how you look at it. Is this healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is there a middle ground? Is there a balance with this idea of roles? I call it roles and limits with people, boundaries, to the extent how much you engage people within situations, how much access do you allow into your life, right? With people, who gets to remain in your life, etc. The truth is, unless you're Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, you're probably not 100% avoiding people, if we're being honest. These individuals who are making these videos, they're clearly getting out and doing stuff. They're going out to eat at restaurants, and they're out about being socially. By default, you definitely are having to do the people thing. You're having conversations. If you're on YouTube, you're doing the freaking people thing. And if you're responding to comments, you're doing the people thing, right? So individuals with these videos, there is something to be said about some of the points that are being made. And it's really, again, what I'm getting at, just having boundaries, some limits or rules of how we engage other people. So unless you're a recluse, someone who's very unhealthy, perhaps does some disturbing things, like Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, to use an extreme example, he's out in a cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere, just being isolated. So let's talk about this, right? What are my thoughts? The pros and cons. When is it healthy? When is it not healthy? Well, it just depends. Do I think there's something automatically wrong with an individual because they have this I avoid people mentality? Particular more as I've gotten older with age, I even have a bit of more intentional with avoiding people because you might say, yeah, you're tired of people's BS. Maybe some people feel frustrated. They've been screwed over a lot, right? People taking advantage of them. Perhaps they're a people pleaser person, right? You've just been pleasing people your whole life, kissing everybody's ass because you need the approval, attention. You fear saying no, so you're saying yes to everything. You've been compromising your needs, even your own values, and perhaps you don't even know who the hell you are. I mean, think about it. How do you even know who you are if you just say yes to everything and you're just going along with what everybody wants? You're a people pleaser. Yeah, by default, you're just along for the ride. You don't even know or even consider what your own values and needs are. So you're just an augmentation. You're augmenting everybody's narratives. So I talk a lot about, controlling your narrative. Life is it's a bit of a competition of competing narratives. There's other people, in a sense, our ego, right? Our awareness of ourself, who and what we think we are, how we internalize the when, where, and how to the extent of what our value is to ourself. What is my value? What does that literally translate to in terms of behavior, form of behaviors? What does it look like? And ultimately, maybe just an intrinsic value of yourself that you've developed. It's more so just yourself. You primarily are the source of that, right? So you start feeling more secure. Yeah, I don't need to do the people thing as much. Maybe I'm just feel exhausted my whole life, always prioritizing everybody else. So maybe it's one of these individuals. And so you're in your 50s. Hey, I'm in my 50s and I avoid people. I get it. Yeah, maybe you just want to be able to prioritize yourself. You want to minimize stress, problems, drama in your life. Hey, I get it. No problem. I can feel that and appreciate that. I will say this, being able to allow some access in your life to relationships with people whose values are similar to yours, they're congruent. Perhaps you could say they're respectful of you, they're supportive relationships. I would say there's some value to that and benefit. Don't want to completely cut everyone off out of your life. And to some extent, where you're making decisions with different relationships, that's understandable. I don't think that's necessarily a knee jerk reaction where it's just across the board, you're avoiding all people, right? Now, some people, for other reasons, yeah, there could be other issues going on. So, maybe you only go to the grocery store at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Or 6 a.m. when it opens up, because there's less likelihood you're going to run into a whole bunch of individuals. You get in, you get out with what you want. It's no pain in the ass having to deal with people, right? Or long lines. What about a 24-hour grocery store? That the where I live at, the HEB grocery chain used to be 24 hours. You go in at 3 in the morning and buy steak, whatever, right? But now it opens at 6 a.m. So yeah, if it was a 24-hour center, you could go do your grocery shopping at 2 o'clock in the morning. So now you're adjusting and modifying your lifestyle to prioritize avoiding people. Well, how sustainable is that? Well, if you're a trust fund baby, you don't need money, or maybe you just hit the jackpot lottery. Yeah, I guess lifestyle is relative, right? You're not on a schedule technically. You could go grocery shopping at 2 o'clock in the morning and avoid the people thing. So some people could have maybe some anxiety, agoraphobia, generalized anxiety disorder, other contexts with anxiety, or even some type of past traumas that may influence or make it difficult for them to handle the stress of engaging and being around others. So they may have an avoidant response to just not be around people and stay at home. I know individuals like this. They stay in their apartment or their house. They typically are isolated. Everything's delivered to their house, especially these days, right? Groceries delivered, very limited interaction with people. They can go weeks and not have physical contact or interaction. It's just maybe phone calls, social media, computer, etc. So to the extent you're avoiding people and in your 50s, hey, I get it. There can be a lot of context and caveats with how you arrived to this point. No judgment. If somebody wants to limit access and modify things for some of the reasons I indicated just a minute ago, and then other reasons, obviously, there can be a lot, right? No judgment. I will say this. I've worked in the mental health profession field the better part of 26 to 29 years, at least. I've worked in the mental health field. So here's my thoughts and opinions having worked as a mental health professional. I will say this, within a context with people who are suffering from depression, which can be pretty serious in terms of the severity of the symptoms, one of the things that will happen is isolation. These individuals will isolate themselves. They will not ask for help. They will not reach out. And this is not good, because they can really spiral inward into very dark places. And this is how people, as a result of this, may commit suicide. Maybe some other things could happen, right, as well, as a result of this isolating and this deterioration of their health. So we do have a human need to an extent. Some people may disagree, but we do have a need for some context of a relationship. We are relational beings. Having a relationship with ourselves is the one of ourself is the most important one. That's the primary one that needs to be healthy, from which everything else is going to flow. Your boundaries, whether you feel secure or insecure with other people, etc. So there is a certain threshold of diminishing return. So if it's a person who is starting to feel depressed, there are some serious things going on with their mental health, then it's probably not a good idea to completely just start avoiding people, isolating. In fact, within treatment and doing other things, you want to kind of do the opposite. Don't isolate, reach out, engage with people, be social a bit. That can be a good thing for you. So my thoughts on these videos for people who watch them, if I have a concern, this would be one of my concerns. If you're someone who suffers from depression, you have needs, maybe you have been a bit isolated, I would encourage you not to interpret a video as I'm in my 50s and avoid people as, yeah, me too, and be on the bandwagon and think that's like the cool thing. Because for some people, that may not be what's best for you. It may be interpreted as don't ask for help. And I hope people do not misinterpret these videos as not being able to ask for help, that they're now going to be dismissive towards seeing the value in relationships, right? There's pros and cons, but there's definitely benefits of having relationships with people. So yeah, if you need to limit things in your life with access, how long people stay in your life, or if you want to make your life a bit more efficient with when you're being social, hey, I get it. I'm a bit similar of a person myself in how I approach being social. I do prefer a bit smaller crowds. I do prefer to shop early. I don't like a lot of people in the grocery store. I would prefer a more intimate, quieter, smaller situation. Maybe there's 5 people in the store, right? Or maybe I get lucky, I'm the only one. So there is context, and that's the whole point. So if you are depressed, if you are struggling in life, isolation's not good. I would encourage you to look at this differently. This is more about being willing to accept help, allow people to support you. For sure, people that are supportive of you, the right individuals, not just anyone, right? So this is where the rules and limits, right? Boundaries. What people do you allow to have access to you? So while I am 54 and I do not avoid people, I do have the rules and limits and the boundaries, just like I said at the very beginning. So I probably have a handful of people I would consider like really close, that it's a balance. I don't feel like I'm encroaching too much upon them or inconveniencing them. At the same time, it's the same way. It's balance. It's a give and a take. It's comfortable. It doesn't feel like any pressure, and so on. So there's a handful of those people in my life that I'll pick up the phone if I need to. I'm not worried about it. And then it kind of, it's a little bit, goes out a bit different other layers. It kind of, if you want to say, dilutes. There's friends in a different sense, and it's okay, it's amicable, but there's different layers and degrees to the quality or what those relationships mean all the time, right? So within my personal life, yeah, my house, I do appreciate if you want to say solitude sometimes. I'm married, so my wife and I have our own spaces, but then we come together and so on. Really big, loud parties, probably not my thing. Smaller get-togethers with a smaller group of people that feels intimate and fun, no problem. Being at the beach like I used to do during spring break when I was 18, 20, or 21, 22 years old, where there's thousands, a bunch of people on the beach, drinking and all kinds of craziness going on. Yeah, probably not today in my 50s, right? If we're being honest. When I was 21, 22, heck yeah, I'm going to load the truck up, probably get a bunch of drink, food, etc., pick up a couple of my friends and head to the beach and see what happens. The excitement, right, of what can happen during spring break. So that was a different chapter in my life. So this would be a context or an issue where this is a function of our values and priorities changing later in life. For why, you may be in your 50s and avoid people. So I could keep going on with this video. I think you get the idea. And there's a lot of stuff I left out that I could have added for the context. But just to summarize, to differentiate, if you're someone who's feeling depressed, you're isolated, you have issues, maybe you need some help, I would ask you to please, for your sake, do not interpret the I'm in my 50s and avoid people videos as a permission statement or even an endorsement that, yeah, you're doing the completely right thing, knee-jerk reaction across the board, just isolate and avoid all people, because that may not be what's best for you, typical to your mental health, your ability to accept or receive help. So know the difference here, right? Sure, as far as rules and limits and boundaries, like I was using examples, that's appropriate, nothing wrong with that. Maybe there's a function of your values and priorities changing as you get older, which may dictate or determine how you may engage people, right? Avoid people, or maybe it's really, if we're being honest, it's about being in your 50s and avoiding situations, right? That's a different way of looking at it. And yes, unless you're Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, the serial killer guy, you're probably not, on that level avoiding people, for being honest. You're going to buy burgers, eat steaks. You probably have a drink here and there. You're probably shooting the shit with the neighbor. You're doing other things, but it is limited within, boundaries. And that's the whole point. So a lot of these videos, I'm in my 50s and I'm avoiding people. Sure, it's a catchy title. It might get views, grab attention, and so on. So there's a lot more to this topic. So my name's James Hunter. Just my thoughts on these videos I've been seeing. What are your thoughts and comments? What are maybe some other ways of looking at it that I didn't mention in this relatively short video? I'd appreciate it. Leave a comment. I'm interested. I'll be glad to give you my thoughts too. If you like these kind of conversations, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. This is probably, I think, my 4th video or something on this channel I've started. Thank you and have a good day.